Good morning. You're listening to the Morning Buzz here at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. This is the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz. I am your host, Amanda Marino, and I'm here with my lovely co-host
Caitlin Aristizabal.
and our wonderful newscaster
Isa Winek.
and our lovely sportscaster
in Medina.
Awesome, guys. It's going to be a great day. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. Guys, it's March. Didn't we just start the school year? This is like wild to me.
No, I know. I can't believe how long it's been. I feel like I just moved in like yesterday.
I know. And like, I got a message from somebody. They're like, oh, we're halfway through the semester. I'm like, okay, we're not halfway through the semester, but like, we're getting close. And that's wild to me. But we have a great show for you all out there today. And to kick it off, Isa, why don't you hit us with that newscast?
Well, good morning. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I, as you all know, am Isa Winek, here with your news update. For local news, New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy announced last night, March 1st, that hospitality, restaurant, grocery, and even shipping workers will be eligible to register for the COVID-19 vaccinations starting March 29th, which is in about 4 weeks. During this last COVID-19 briefing, in Trenton, Governor Murphy gave a detailed update of the broader possibilities of vaccinations due to the recent increase of shipments. This next group of essential workers covers a much larger range of occupations, from teachers and postal workers to clergy and public transportation drivers. With this next group of workers being so grand, Governor Murphy warns to remember that the vaccine is still in high demand for those who need it most. While current priority vaccinations are based on a combination of eligibilities ranging from occupation, age, to medical history, these eligibilities are set to broaden and become more open with the development of the latest Johnson & Johnson one-dose vaccine. For U.S. news, the top utilities regulator in Texas resigned this Monday in a great fallout from the shutdowns in blackouts that were caused as a result of the unnatural blizzard that happened this February throughout Texas. As a result, many citizens were left without power, water, or heat for many days on end. The chairman of this public utility permission, Deanne Walker, stepped down from being the highest-ranking official after being accused of one of the largest, quote, greatest power failures of U.S. history. It was reported that this former chairman struggled during her first 2 long appearances before an investigative legislative panel. Many officials blamed her for the late commission's response and the lack of appropriate communication with the public in preparation for the storm, which led many people to have such a horrid aftermath. Legislators also told Walker that she seemed to be fibbing with her agency's information after changing her answers throughout the investigation, which led many of them to believe that she was hiding many disclosed important information that she should have let out, which led her to be publicly humiliated and shamed, therefore stepping her down from her position. For world news, United States President Joe Biden met with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to discuss further developments on public migration and cooperation with issues regarding economy and national security for Mexico and the US. This meeting was held virtually this Monday, in which both presidents came to agree that our two countries work much stronger together rather than against each other, especially during these hard times with the pandemic. While there are many important topics discussed throughout this specific meeting, the most energy was focused on Biden's newest immigration labor program, which is going to employ many more immigrants coming from Mexico in the United States, bringing more jobs, but also Mexico's approach to climate change with their agricultural practices and mass agricultural industry. In conclusion, both parties confirmed that the countries will be looking into ways for working each other despite our past differences and past letdowns. For Montclair news, it has been reported that due to the massive mountains of snow covering our streets, due to the countless latest snowstorms we have, that there have been many accidents caused by either people driving recklessly too fast in the snow or bumping into these great snow mounds or just not being careful on the roads. While Local police state that the Traffic Bureau does not know exact numbers of crashes. It was observed that since the middle of January, the different incidences have risen to a notable amount. While the weather does get warmer, due to the amount of snow we have, the snow will begin to melt at a much slower rate than expected. As the Township Council works to remove this snow as much as possible from the streets and from the public parkings available, they urge residents to follow all safety regulations and drive with extra caution on the roads. For the weather, in Montclair, it is quite sunny outside today with a high of 35 and a low of 27 and 20% chance of rain, even though there's not a cloud in the sky. It's always good to be careful out there. It's quite windy today, so stay warm. Today we have a humidity of 31% and sunset will be around 6:30 p.m. And once again, thank you very much. I'm Isa Winek from 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this was your newscast.
Thank you, Isa. A lot of news happening in Montclair and the U.S. and the country alone. Just there was a lot to unpack there. So cool stuff. And then, Tim, why don't you hit us with that sportscast for today?
Sure thing. My name is Tim Medina here with WMSC Upper Montclair with your sportscast. In the world of NFL, J.J. Watt signs with the Arizona Cardinals. This is one of the biggest signings in the NFL offseason, as the Cardinals now hold two of the best pass rushing players with Chandler Jones along his side in the upcoming season. In the world of the NBA, the Pelicans and the Jazz played last night, with New Orleans winning 129-124. Williamson had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, leading the Pelicans in a late-game comeback to beat D. Mitch and the Jazz. In other NBA news, the Mavericks and the Magic matched up last night, with Dallas winning 130-124. Luka Doncic had 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. Kristaps Porzingis had a nearly flawless second half, and the Dallas Mavericks beat the Orlando Magic in the end. In the world of NHL, award voters are watching Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, who are the frontrunners for the award as the season continues to progress. This has been Tim Medina with your sportscast. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Tim. Great first news sportscast too. That's awesome. That was Tim's first time on air on our Morning Buzz airwaves. So thanks for that, Tim. Alrighty. Alrighty. So as Isa mentioned in her newscast, we had a lot of news, but specifically in New Jersey, we had a lot of announcements yesterday. Caitlin, do you want to take that story?
Yeah, sure. So this is exciting. Well, I think it's exciting. So on NJ.com, I'm just going to read the headline. It says, big expansion in New Jersey COVID vaccine eligibility includes teachers, restaurant workers. So, I mean, I think this is just great to hear because we've been talking about the vaccine on this show. Mm-hmm. So hundreds of thousands of more people will be eligible to receive a vaccination for the coronavirus in New Jersey over the next month. As Governor Phil Murphy announced, the state is preparing to vastly expand who is allowed to receive shots. So some of the people included eligibility beginning March 15th include pre-K through 12th grade teachers and education staff members, childcare workers in licensed and registered settings, motor vehicle commission workers, NJ Transit workers, and other transportation workers, public and local transportation workers, including bus, taxi, rideshare, and airport employees, and people who are homeless and people living in homeless shelters or domestic violence shelters. So I think these are all really important groups. I feel like all of these people stood out to me in different ways. Of course, teachers, because that's important if we want kids to go back to school eventually. And then motor vehicle, every time there's a coronavirus case at the DMV, they always shut down like the entire thing. So, I mean, getting vaccinations is probably really awesome.
I have a lot of mixed opinions on that already with the every time
they really?
shut down. No, because like I mean, I want you to finish talking about what you were going to talk about the vaccines, but I mean, in this day and age, and I've said it on the Buzz before, and I'll keep saying it, why can't you do most of the things you do at the motor vehicle commission online?
No, I know. I don't understand.
It doesn't make logical sense. Why would anybody want to sit there for 7 hours trying to get things done on a normal day pre-pandemic? Mm-hmm. So to me, it never made sense that we had to go there and wait and cause people to get cases and stuff there, but that's a whole other story, and I could rant about that for a while. So, Caitlin, why don't you continue telling us who else is going to continue to be eligible?
So 2 weeks after that, on March 29th, eligibility will be expanded for frontline essential workers in the restaurant, food processing and distribution industries, grocery personnel, warehouse workers, remaining elder care workers, hospitality workers, election workers, clergy, postal and other shipping workers, and judicial system employees. So lots of people on the list. And I know you work in a grocery store, Amanda. Are you still waiting on the vaccine?
Okay, so actually, that's funny that you mentioned that. So I actually got it. I got it over the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, from some medical stuff. So I actually got it over the weekend. So I have I guess I have an experience now getting it now, which is wild because I could talk about it here with all you. But yeah, I got it over the weekend. And I know the process has been very difficult for everybody with the vaccine. I don't know if you all know about this, but there's Twitter pages that send you updates when sites like CVS or other places go live with vaccines. But there's also a group on Facebook, and they're helping each other out, trying to get spots if people are dropping them, like dropping spots, or if they know if they want to help people that maybe don't have as much internet access and things like that. So there's been a lot of great resources to help specifically in New Jersey. I kind of got lucky and, tapped on my Twitter page, the Twitter thing that I was telling you guys about, the updates page went live and I was on Twitter that moment. And I clicked it and I got a spot. It was actually only 10 minutes away from my house to go do the vaccine, which is crazy too, because I know a lot of people are traveling like hours to get it. So yeah, I got it on Saturday. The process was, I think, a little interesting because I know a lot of people, they have it set up where you show up for your time and then you go and then that's it. But I had an appointment and I waited 2 hours before I got seen. So I got there at like 2:15. My appointment was at 2:40. I didn't get my shot until 4:15. So that's, yeah. And so I got the shot. They made you they basically made everybody wait online. The appointment wasn't really like an appointment. It was almost like, here, we're definitely going to have one for you, but you just have to show up on this line. So I got on the line, waited, gave them my insurance and my license, and then they took me over and I got the shot. By the way, it doesn't hurt at all. And the flu shot hurts more.
Okay, that's really good to know.
No, literally, I just thought it was like alcohol that they rubbed on me, you know how they do the rub and then to clean the spot.
Yeah.
But that's all I thought I felt, and then that was it. I saw the guy put the
Did
Band-Aid
your
on.
arm hurt?
Oh, the arm? Okay, so that's a different story. So
Because I heard that from a lot of people.
After the fact, I was they make you wait for 15 minutes just to make sure you don't have an immediate reaction. And then you're good to go. And they just tell you oh, if you have any pain, you could just take Advil, Tylenol, whatever. And so that night, I'm not going to lie, I did get really tired and I felt really exhausted. And then my arm really started hurting. I'm talking I couldn't even lean on it, to sleep. I sleep on my arm sometimes, could not do that. And it was just weird. So that was a weird pain I felt till Monday. I got it Saturday. So I felt the arm pain for a while. But if that's really the only thing I'm going to feel, I think I'm going to take it as that. Now I know people say the second one is a lot worse because you start to feel a lot more flu symptoms with the second one, but we'll see. I guess we'll get there. I'm due for the second one at the end of the month. So we'll see then, I guess. I'll keep you all posted on the morning.
Yeah, keep us updated.
I'm just curious, for just more specific reasons, do you know which vaccine did you get? Which one of the two?
I got the Moderna, which is the one that everybody knows is the Dolly Parton vaccine. So yeah, the Moderna one. A lot of them, you really don't really get a choice in the matter. A lot of them, it's just whatever they have the capabilities to have. The space I went to wasn't normally a doctor's office or a CVS. It was just visiting nurses coming and doing it. So there's not really the refrigeration to keep the Pfizer one. So I think that's where you're going to find the difference. If people have the proper refrigeration, they're going to have the Pfizer. And I know it's different because the Pfizer one you can get if you're younger. You're 16 and up. The other one is 18 and up. So, okay. But anyway, that was my little story, I guess, about the vaccine. I'll keep you guys all posted, I guess, about symptoms and anything. But yeah, no, the one thing I will say about this whole update with the vaccine eligibility is I guess I feel that people grocery store workers, mail workers, things like that kind of got I don't know. I feel like they kind of got disgraced a little bit with this. I don't know if you know what I mean. With even restaurant
Like they
workers,
should
but
have
I
been
will
able to get it
I
earlier.
feel like they should have been able to get it earlier because if you look at states like New York,
Mhm.
they're already been open with teachers, and grocery store workers have been open for over a month now.
Mhm.
And the other thing to me is, and I'm not calling them out, but like, you know, doctors were ones that never, like, healthcare never shut down because that was just the reality. You can't shut down healthcare. And grocery store workers never shut down. And also mail workers. You always got your Amazon package. You always
Yeah, of
had to get
course.
groceries. They never shut down. I was working when school shut down. I worked like 3 weeks of just like constant chaos. And then I was like, oh my goodness, this is nuts. And we never shut down, and we were the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm talking, we didn't get masks, I think, at my store until like mid-April or so. And like that, and we didn't have the proper like precautions at first. And to think that now they're kind of like waiting it out. Like, I understand, like, I think teachers should be eligible. I agree. But I guess I wish everybody was kind of eligible at the same time, like the teachers and grocery workers. I understand they're trying to stagger it a little bit, but like, I don't know. It's just not fair, I think. If that
You
makes
know, I guess just based on what you said, like also who is essential, who is necessary, like there's some people that if society, like we say, shuts down, that need to keep working, like the postals, like shipping workers, they need to keep getting important mail, like to people, like while necessarily teachers at the same time, yeah, they could take away teachers, but only for a certain amount of time. And I guess it's really hard to make those decisions to determine who is eligible, and not only who is an essential worker, who is more important, because in a way everyone's important in society, but who in this case is more important to keep intact, while on the other hand it's also important who is eligible for this vaccine, like who is more likely to contract the virus because they're meeting more people, who is more likely to have a risk because they are constantly exposed and working and outside. So I would say it's quite hard to make those decisions. I mean, I'm not one to be up there and to say that there's something better or worse. I feel the way, like we all have many different opinions about the way it should happen or the way it should have happened, but I believe just facing the situation and making this decision is very hard on its own. And so far, just I greatly appreciate that everyone's working together on this and just doing their best, not just fighting for this vaccine and trying to like rip it like out of each other's hand, just like working in line, just waiting for their turn, being safe, keeping that social distance, wearing the masks. And like they said, we're in this alone together, but we're alone, we're separated. So we just gotta wait it out, tough it out, stick together, and work hard.
The other thing I'll say is, like, the good thing in this matter, and I know people are like, oh, why did this person get it? And why didn't this person get it? And whatever. The only good thing I'll say is at least so many people want to get it. Because it's all
Yeah.
helping the greater good if you're getting it. So it's like, it's not like anybody could just like, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, people were hoarding like toilet paper because they're just like, I need it for me. It's like the
Mhm.
vaccine is going to help everybody. So like, you can't really like hoard a vaccine. You get it once, you're done, or you get it twice, technically 2 doses, unless you're getting the Johnson & Johnson, which now just became eligible to be used. But I guess that's my point too. It's helping no matter what, even though, yeah, you will feel better getting like the dose, you're the greater good. If everybody around you is getting it, it's going to help you too. So that's how I feel about that. Tim, Ben, do you have any thoughts on this?
I have a question for you, Amanda.
Yes.
Would anything change for you in a grocery store if you got the vaccine, except for you having the vaccine?
What do you mean?
Like you would have to keep wearing the mask and have all the protection, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that the reason why they're going to give teachers it first is because you can open schools that way. Like you have a better shot to open schools. Teachers can
But
get
see,
back
here's
to
the
work, which
schools are open
opens-
currently.
I know. So my point is, if you guys seem to have been, in a way that you guys have been safe for so long, getting teachers will open up schools, which is one of the things that people like Biden and Trump, something they agreed upon is something that they've wanted to open up for the longest time.
I guess
That
to
Trump
me,
was forcing it, but Biden still wants it. He was just being more cautious about it.
but to me, like, I know technically everybody does want people back into the school building. Some people are able to still work from home and still teach. We're dealing with the general population on like a crazy amount. Like I'm seeing, like I work as a cashier. I'm seeing about like hundreds of people a day, kids without their masks, kids like kind of like touching everything, all that kind of stuff. And then there's people not wearing their masks properly. We've had a decent amount of cases like at stores. It happens. Caitlin, you've talked about it before too, from where you work. You've get notified. So I get notified all the time. I don't know who it is. I don't know where it is, but I get notified that we have regular cases coming through. And I think it's just I'm not saying that one person shouldn't get it over the other. I'm just saying I wish they opened it all basically at once for them, because it's just not the whole process is not fair. And just because if you look at it this way too, and I'm not even saying it's just this kind of issue, I think it all stems from not being a nationwide decision on who gets it when, because that's the problem. If you go over to New York, it's totally different people are eligible, which is nuts. And then if you go to Pennsylvania, it's completely different. And that was because that we didn't have a nationwide plan, because when the vaccine started rolling out, Trump was still in office and didn't set a plan.
Yeah.
On top of that, though, what do you call it? I also worked in food distribution, and the amount of times that I've gotten a phone call from someone saying they had COVID, and that one of the not so bright drivers walked right up to them and they hand shook them or touched the receipt that they grabbed, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that happens all the time. And it always is the spot that you're in, the position you're in, you want to be first. Like everyone you think that you want to be first. But I don't think it's too bad. I feel like I'd rather have a teacher get it, because the likelihood that a teacher having the ability to be safe from the students is more dangerous especially when you open up the schools. And also another thing about the schools and Zoom University is I will be the first one to say I am not learning as much through Zoom University.
I'm not
like
even
50%.
saying that. I completely agree with you. Zoom fatigue is very, very real. But I don't know, like, I guess, Ben, like, what are your thoughts? I mean, technically you are eligible with that pool of people because you work at Domino's, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately. But
I mean, technically you are eligible as well now. Just like, so like you had concerns, and I understand you have concerns about the teachers too, but like you're technically can go get it too.
basically being a 19-year-old male with no prior health conditions, I'd much prefer people that are way more vulnerable than me to get it before I get it, and then I'll get it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like I would much rather the people be the people that are in worse situations. Like for example, my mother was eligible at the same time as me, and I'm glad my mom has it, because my mom was more vulnerable than I am, and both my parents got it. That's more of like, if I got the virus, the odds of me dying are way lower than a bunch of other people, and I'd much rather them be safer. And then like like a teacher, some teachers are pretty old, and I'd much rather them be okay. And because majority of teachers are old, let's be honest. But
I'm not denying the fact that I think teachers should get it. I truly do. I believe it. I have family with teachers. Like I know people, like I have friends that are teachers. I don't think that they don't deserve it. I just think that they should have opened everything, like for all these, they shouldn't have waited 2 weeks to open it up for all the other people that have been working during this as well. Like it should have just been open at the same time. Like
are you
March
saying
15th
like
was
we should
open.
like because we're both food distribution?
Yeah.
You think, and we're also media people. I think media people is in the same category as food.
I don't think media people are eligible yet.
Oh, okay. But so with that, did you say that we should be a part of 1A as
No,
well
I'm
with
saying
them?
that like on March 15th, when teachers are eligible, I feel like everybody should have been eligible on March 15th, or better yet, when they made this announcement yesterday, like starting the next few days, they should have started rolling out that everyone that's on this list should be eligible, like starting now.
Yeah, Amanda, I believe they did this because of the fact that they're just scared that they will run out of this vaccine too quickly.
Yeah.
Because like they said, there was such a great demand. Like I remember from the briefing, it was stated that while this is a much broader range of people that can get this vaccine, because they already have such a high, like I said, demand for it, such a high need, that they're scared that all these people are going to get it way too fast. So then the people that do need it won't be supplied with it.
Yeah,
so
I know that's yeah, I know that's been an issue too in general, and I don't think any plan is actually like perfect, and I think that's where the issue stems. But I have been hearing though, from actually our GM Annabella Poland is messaging me mid-show. She's telling me that, technically New Jersey is doing a lot better than most other states with their rollouts, which is something to look at. I haven't looked at the numbers for New York or anything, but I'm curious because obviously they opened a lot more eligibility a lot faster. So you're wondering what the difference was and how they handled things. And I think within the next few weeks, we're going to see a lot more vaccines kind of roll in because we're getting that Johnson & Johnson one now too, and that's only one dose. So that helps not have to, put a vaccine in the same arm twice, if that makes any sense.
Vaccines are like trying to get the PS5 or Xbox Series X. It's almost impossible.
But before we wrap this story, Caitlin, Tim, do you have any thoughts on this story anymore?
I was just gonna talk about the school thing a bit, like with teachers. I do think it's a good idea that teachers get vaccinated. The one thing that I don't agree is schools should be fully open. The one thing that we haven't considered is, although the teachers have the vaccine, the students don't. And a lot of times, especially how you were saying earlier, with like kids like not wearing their masks, touching everything. You got to think about like these kids are going back to their families, and we don't know. They might have people that are older, their parents, grandparents that might be at risk. So I don't personally agree with like sending kids back to school anyways. I have a younger sister who goes to school, and she doesn't even go to like any of the in-person ones. And like I agree with it because it's like it's putting a big risk. I already have parents that are working almost every day. They're getting exposed, and on top of school, I don't think that's a risk that we really should be taking.
No, I agree. Kids are become the issue. I know they're starting to test kids with these vaccines and seeing if if kids are capable, but I don't know. We're not there yet. And I think we're going to see, unfortunately, a little bit of a hybrid kind of thing, I think, for a while, because most people probably will not feel comfortable sending their kids back immediately unless they have some kind of vaccine or some kind of treatment. So, but
and I would say also because kids are much more likely to catch the flu or catch a cold because they're younger, their immune systems are still like developing. It's a risk, generally speaking. I mean, I know that many times, even just quick antidote, like in Poland, if you showed slight symptoms of being sick, they sent you home automatically, and you had to stay home because they didn't want you infecting other people. I mean, other younger kids. So it's just more of that probability that not even just COVID, but because kids generally are more likely to get sick, I see why people are concerned.
And I think that's what people kind of been forgetting during this whole time, that like, yeah, sure, our kids maybe not going to get as sick. No, maybe not. But there's the chance that they'll pass it to their family or their parents' friends or whatever the case may be, and then they could get actually really sick. So as much as we want to keep saying, oh, maybe kids aren't that bad, first of all, we still have seen kids get this, and some of them haven't been as pretty. And that's one thing. But you also have to realize, again, that they could still pass it, and that's the issue. So anyways, but with that, I guess we'll move on to our next story. Caitlin, you want to take this one as well? This is apparently
other vaccine news.
Other vaccine news with our former President Trump. So go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, so Amanda called me about this morning, and I just think it's kind of crazy. But apparently, according to sources, Trump received the COVID-19 vaccine at the White House in January. So that's from CBS News. And it says former President Trump and former First Lady Melania Trump were vaccinated at the White House in January, two sources confirmed to CBS News. It's not clear why the former president made no public remarks about his coronavirus vaccination, given high levels of skepticism about the vaccine, particularly among Republicans. Mr. Trump urged attendees at a speech to the Conservative Political Action Conference on Sunday to get their COVID-19 shots, but he did not mention that he had been vaccinated. Whether the president has received both shots has also not been disclosed. Well, I mean, I hope he received both shots if he got one in January, but yeah, this is just, it's so crazy because as a president, like, I feel like you're aware of the type of power you have, and him not saying it is just, it just says so much that he was keeping it to himself, like, as if people are gonna judge him for it. But he's the president. They probably, my brain.
My brain. No, I agree. When I read this, at first I like thought about a choice. I'm like, oh well, like whatever. But the reality, and we've talked about this on the Buzz too, because I think when the vaccine started originally rolling out, we knew that he was probably going to get it. Now I have no problem with him in the fact that he got it, because again, he was still the president.
Yeah.
You're a president. Anybody in power like that should have access to it. I completely agree.
Yeah. Like, why keep it to yourself?
No, but that's where I wonder, because you kept it to yourself, and you could have, if more people knew you got it, I think that would have changed a lot of people's outlooks on the virus and about the vaccine as a whole. And so that's where I'm just like, I could go off on this, but I feel like I'm going to try to hold it together, and I want to hear what everybody else here on the call has to say, because like, I know personally, like I fully, once again, I understand he would have gotten it because he's the president. No problem with that. Understand that. But I have a problem with the fact that he didn't let, like, the press didn't know until now. It's March 2nd, and he's no longer in office. And his power could have showed to people that the vaccine's good. Science is real, and we're going to trust these doctors that are saying that. And that maybe a lot more people will believe, oh, wow, this virus is real. I should take this seriously. So, Tim, Ben, Issa, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I like this does not surprise me at all, especially after last year, how he heard about this virus going on months before anyone else knew. And honestly, I feel like he's partially to blame for why the US is struggling so much with coronavirus. Because if we would have known about this earlier, perhaps we could have stopped it, or at least softened the hit a little bit more. I genuinely, like, just after Biden took over, I mean, I really just felt like hoping for better things, especially last presidency, a whole lot of ups and downs. I really don't even know where to go off with that. So I just think that, like, this isn't the first time that he's lied, and probably won't be the last time. So let's probably just go off of that.
From my perspective, oh dear. Well, I would have to say that, like Tim mentioned, these public officials, these people working higher ups in our government, definitely have much more information about this than we do, and have a way of going about it properly, instead of just releasing it to the public entirely to have further panic, or just organizing it in such a way that we, as, like I said, the public understand it through a better perspective and aren't shocked by it. However, even though this was disclosed information and, like, it was maybe controversial, they didn't know how people would react, I believe that the fact to keep it quiet, and the fact that it happened, number one, and to keep it quiet, was a very individualistic based choice. That instead of thinking collectively for the greater whole as America, for our community, for, like, even Donald Trump being a role model for the people, like Amanda and you, Caitlin, previously mentioned, that he should have, like, if he did expose this, if he did say he got the vaccine, then that would make people feel more comfortable, take this more seriously. Because the fact that it was kept secret, it just makes it appear very selfish. Well, at least this is my opinion, but I feel this was a very individualistic choice. Instead of helping, okay, let's help the greater good, let's help us, let's work together, let this be a greater a next stepping stone for us, let me show you. It's more like, I'll just do this for me, not say anything to anyone else, keep quiet, just like when the pandemic started, just like saying, like, oh, it's okay, it's just the virus, not acting so fast. So in my opinion, I believe that this was just this was done out of some sort of deeper selfish intent. But like I said, this is just my opinion, and I feel that if it was went about differently, like you said, it might have reaped better results, like, to the public as a reaction.
Yeah, and I do want to mention quickly right now that obviously all the opinions of the hosts and contributors here are our own and not of the station. So just as a reminder to any listeners that are tuning in right now, or any people watching on Facebook Live. But before we wrap this story, Ben, do you have any thoughts to add to this?
I just think we can't go a full month without not talking about the former president. Oh my gosh! I even when he's not president, I hear more about him than our own president. I'm like, oh my goodness. No, I really don't. I think it was dumb, but whatever. Okay, I'm like at the point where I'm just like, can we just like, can we talk about Biden instead now?
It's funny because like I feel like that's such a reality that we're currently like living. I mean, even for an example, even on our media and entertainment that we consume, like I don't know if you guys watch SNL at all, but like, you know, before like I don't know, the last month and a half, it was all like Trump, 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 and we always had like a bit or a skit about it, like about like, you know, our current like administration. But now it's just like they don't know what to do sometimes because there's no political stuff going wrong to like do that. So it's just funny.
They took for granted how much content he gave.
No, and exactly. And I feel like a lot of times that's what we've kind of, the last 4 years, we've kind of shaped our ideas and mindset on this. And now it's over and we're just like, what do we do? So I think anything we could find out about what's going on, like the news just kind of goes towards that as well. So I don't know. I guess we're going to hear more because I know there's a lot more stuff coming out, I think, in the next couple weeks with Trump and stuff, especially with his taxes finally being released to the New York City and stuff. So we'll have to see. And I guess we'll all keep you posted on the Morning Buzz. But right now we are going to take a quick break. We will be back when we're going to talk about some life returning to normal now that we have the vaccine, and also a doctor appearing in court while performing surgery. Stay tuned on the Morning Buzz here at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. This is the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz. And if you're just tuning in, we got some more stories to conclude the hour with. So this next one was found in the New York Times, and it talks about America's life beginning to return back to normal, even as some fear it's too soon. So this was a lot to unpack here because, guys, it's been almost a year. If you guys forgot at any way that it's almost been a year.
Happy anniversary, guys. Oh my god.
No.
Yeah, I believe in a week it will be about a year. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
week.
I didn't get anything. I'm so sorry. I didn't get a present. I forgot. Oh
no, but it's wild. And I mean, we've learned a lot in this past year. You could say that.
But this really proves to show how much 1 year could change our lives.
Oh,
like, it's incredible.
For sure. I mean, tens of thousands of students are now going back to school, as this article says, in Chicago. That was the first time in public schools on this past Monday. And restaurants are allowed to be open. Think about it. We were at a point where there was no restaurants open. You could only do takeout. Then we made it to outdoor dining. And then we made it to, in New Jersey, we made it to 35% capacity in restaurants. And obviously we're still not fully there, but kind of seeing kind of more things opening. We're getting more people vaccinated. The cases are dropping. And this kind of article just kind of talked about, are we rushing into this too soon? And I'm kind of here to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, there was a point, and on the World Health Organization.com, you could kind of see that there is a chart with kind of how the US did with the COVID-19 crisis. And if you look at some of the top numbers, there was days where we're reaching 200,000 people getting COVID in one day. 200,000 just getting COVID. And yeah, it's just getting it. It's not like deaths, but we just saw we reached 500,000 deaths in the United States. That's a lot of people. And I guess there's just the wonder is, are we rushing back into this? Yeah. if you're currently on Facebook Live, we have the chart we're going to show up. So Caitlin, it's the United States. If you click over there, it shows you like a little graph, and you can kind of see
Ooh.
what day we had those numbers, And so now we're seeing numbers where we're only getting like 60,000 cases a day, which is obviously a drop. So, I'm here to kind of talk to you guys about, so do we think this was too soon? Do we think kind of going back to normal life is too soon? Are we rushing? Do we think with all these variants around and things like that, we might be rushing into it? Or what are your thoughts?
No,
Well,
for
being
sure.
being that the vaccine has at least lessened the power of the only variant that isn't being also diminished by the vaccine. I feel like that for one more year, I feel like we should continue to open as an option. So when we do open things, I feel like they should give resources for people to have the ability to stay home,
Mm-hmm.
being that you can, like, so for example, if you have the vaccine, you can just go do it. If you don't, or you do, but you're still high risk, or you don't and you're higher risk or uncomfortable, you have the ability to stay home, kind of like we kind of do for the university, how you can stay home if you want, if you pick the classes that are all remote.
Yeah, true.
So I feel like they're not opening too quickly. You want to get the businesses up and running because you need it's a pain. It stinks to say it sometimes, but sometimes you gotta open it up and kind of make a little bit of trouble because you need people to still have jobs. Like jobs are still needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel like it should be optional. I don't think you should like force everyone to go outside yet.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Tim because what we find is safe and not is also subjective.
My name is Ben, by the way.
I feel it's also very subjective for the individual to decide what is safe and what is not, because we all had different experiences with COVID. We all knew different people that have been affected, maybe worse than others.
Yeah.
With it. But I feel like the officials really make the main rules when it comes to saying that, okay, this is officially considered safe or this is not yet safe. So it really depends per person. How do we individually feel comfortable to go about our lives? And I feel that's what's most important. We're supposed to be comfortable in our own world. And I personally don't feel it would be too soon. But I see why some people would feel that way.
Yeah, Issa, I'm on like the same kind of page with you and Ben, both with this kind of issue.
Excuse me, I'm Tim. What are you talking about?
No, well, I get it. I think there's a certain level, like if you feel comfortable doing something, like I don't think you should be stopped if you want to go do something. But for me, I just got the first dose. Like I'm feeling already less anxious. But I think also I'm not gonna go rush and do anything crazy. I'm just gonna be able to feel safe going out and not feeling like I have to worry every time I step out my front door. I'm gonna be able to feel a little less stressed, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go to a party or go just take advantage of that. That's not what I'm going to do. And I think that also depends on other people's levels, because when people got the vaccine that already have it, they might say oh, I feel great now. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm going to just continue life like normal. And that's just not everybody. And then there's people that, don't have that opportunity to have the vaccine, or for medical reasons, or for that they're just not eligible yet. And it's not fair to everybody else around you if you go take advantage of that, I think. So I think it's about doing what you think is safe, but also remember that everybody around you doesn't have that opportunity to maybe be that safe yet. So I think that's something to keep in mind.
A lot of people don't do that either. So I feel like it's so, I get that you have your own choice if you want to go out and risk it. That's on you. But I don't really agree with that, because what you do affects everybody around you.
Yeah.
And it's really not fair.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm completely saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair. Even yeah, it's your own decision, but if don't then lie to your friend and say, oh, I didn't go out, and then you went out, and then potentially you're exposing them.
No, yeah, of course. Just because you don't think it's a big deal, it's not the same for everybody too. But also these cases, if the cases are still rising, I just think the biggest thing is probably less deaths, because we've learned a little bit more about it in the past year. In the beginning, where like we had no idea what was going on, and people were just dying like instantly.
Well, if you remember too,
I guess
at the
that's a
beginning, we all
little-
thought it was touching surfaces too, and that was like a thing. And then we found
Mhm.
out it was airborne, and you learn as we're going through the process. But I mean, Caitlin, if you hover over those numbers that were cases newly reported, I mean, if you see that there was that giant spike around like the end of December, and then you saw it drop, and that was where we like lost. That's where we like are now in. We're kind of in that like 60,000 a day. So I don't know.
Great. That's still a huge number to me. Like it blows
It
my
is,
mind.
but you got to remember, like we were at those numbers towards more of the beginning, and then we spiked back in like November, December. After Halloween, we spiked. So it's just
Yeah.
something interesting to look at. And I mean, Tim, we didn't hear what you think. Do you think people are rushing into this?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, literally last year, I remember being in the middle of my senior year. We heard like the Sunday of we weren't gonna have school for a day. Like I was thinking, oh, school day, like day off, whatever. And then one day off turned into like a week off turned into a month off, and eventually just like here we are, still during the pandemic. And I mean, I was able to cope with it personally with like senior year, and I mean, I was cool with it. I like obviously, I wish that I would have been able to fulfill that experience, but I still think that we are far too early in this process to be fully opening everything up again. I think that the more that we open things up, the more risk that we increase. And at the end of the day, we all want this to be over, and I'm sure everyone can agree on that. We all want the pandemic to pass by. I think that the best action in this case would be to slow things more down so that we have enough time to, fully get rid of this virus, or at least have everyone vaccinated so that we can actually start opening more things up and start living life normally again, as I would say.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you summed that up perfectly. And I'm sorry that maybe you didn't get to fulfill your senior year. I don't think we had too many people. It's nice to see a fresh perspective at the station to hear about how it was like being a senior during this, because a lot of us couldn't experience that. We were like new in college, or we were already had been in college, so we didn't get that experience of how losing like a senior year of high school must have been. So I'm sorry that you had to miss that. And yeah, I agree with you on what you said. But
Yeah, no,
to kind of hit on some lighter news, because we've been really packing in on the harder, heavy news of the COVID-19 crisis, it's always good to get a few laughs in, I think, especially during all this time. And if you follow any other days of the buzz, you might have heard a few weeks ago on the Wednesday buzz that a cat appeared on a Zoom call during a court trial. And the guy, so if you don't know the story, basically a man kind of had a filter on his Zoom in a little court case that was going on over Zoom, and he couldn't take the filter off. And it was just too distracting for the other people in the room, and someone recorded it, and it ended up on the internet, and it went viral because this man was ridiculous as a cat on a professional Zoom call. And we had a part 2 happen just recently, and this time it was a doctor appearing in court while he was performing surgery. So the Medical Board of California says it's planning to investigate a plastic surgeon who appeared in a video conference for his traffic violation trial while operating. Dr. Scott Greed appeared Thursday for his Sacramento Superior Court trial, held virtually because of the coronavirus pandemic, from an operating room. He was dressed in surgical scrubs with a patient undergoing the procedure just out of view. The beeps of medical machinery could be heard in the background. On the call, "Hello, Mr. Green. Hi, how are you? Are you available for trial?" asked a courtroom clerk as an officer summoned to appear in the trial raised her eyebrows. "It kind of looks like you're operating right now." He says, "I am, sir," Green replied. "Yes, I am in an operating room right now. Yes, I'm available for trial. Go ahead." And this just keeps going on, and he does note later on in the conversation that like there's another person in the room as well, like doing the surgery. But oh my goodness. What? Honestly, if this was my doctor performing surgery on me, I'd be pretty upset that he was doing a Zoom call in the middle of my operation.
Yeah, they say because of Zoom, people are prone to like feeling that it's more comfortable to multitask. But I didn't know people would take it to such an extent. I mean, a few months ago, I heard of a similar story of how a teacher was teaching while she was driving on the highway, and for about 2 hours, she was teaching from her car as she was driving, and you could see her react and like watch the road and be like, "Oh, I believe she honked twice even throughout the class." And even that, like that had so much controversy. But this is a completely different level. Surgery is something you really have to focus on. And for me, as a judge, I would be scared to conduct that trial, because what if you say something and the person feels like emotionally distraught or down or upset? Like you have someone's life at risk. But I just think this is, because this happened, this is a very interesting situation.
Yeah, for sure. What else do you guys think? I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
he wasn't doing the surgery during the trial.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
No, they said
was.
you said someone was behind him doing the surgery.
So yeah, but he was still in the room and he was supposed
was
to be
in-
They were
helping
both-
and
they
doing
were
his
both
job.
operating.
You could pass the scalpel while on trial. It doesn't seem too hard. It's not a
but,
horrible
like,
multitask.
Okay, have you ever heard of the thing?
Not saying this is right, but like you guys are making it sound like he's knee deep in like someone's guts while being like,
Have
"Do
you
you
ever-
swear to tell the truth?"
Ben, have you ever heard of someone saying like, "Oh, it's not brain surgery," where like brain surgery is something you have to focus on? I would say any part of surgery is something you have to focus on.
Oh no, I agree, but I feel like we're just I just want to clarify. He wasn't doing the surgery. He was just in the room.
I mean, he was
I feel
part
like-
of the surgery.
Yeah, he was like it's. I'm
I
just
love how
saying.
Ben's
I'm just
trying to
like
find
not the one
the-
cutting the person while doing it.
Ben's trying to give this guy like
I'm giving him a little bit of a break because you guys sound like murdering the guy while he's like cutting him open.
At least there was
while
another
looking at a phone.
surgeon though.
Well, yeah, there was
He wasn't
another
alone.
surgeon, but like, I don't know.
But I will say, it really goes to show that you forget that there's so much drama everywhere else in your life. Like, have you like? I would go to Amanda's grocery store, and she probably has like beef with someone there, and I'd be like, "Oh, drama in a place I don't know where I'm at." Like, you ever like notice? Oh, it's so satisfying to see drama in places like, because it's everywhere. But then you're like, "Oh, beef." I'm like, you never.
But what
thought
does
of
that have to do with that? There's like a guy.
Well, like
having
it just makes you realize that doctors are still normal people that do dumb things.
So
It's like that moment that you realize that, like, oh my gosh, they're also normal people.
So what do we think about how the person felt like after like waking up and finding out like they were like on a Zoom call, basically? Like,
Dude,
what-
Imagine they were awake during that. I mean, like just sitting
I
there,
mean,
like hearing someone on Zoom.
Yeah, I didn't find this article is from AP News, but I didn't find what the surgery was, because I feel like that would be like an interesting thing to
yeah.
see more
I feel like that makes a
I
difference.
completely agree. Yeah.
But Caitlin, you were gonna say something else. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just trying to think how I would react, but I feel like if everything went fine in the surgery, I would think it's kind of funny. Like I wouldn't be upset. So
I
that's
don't know.
interesting.
I don't know how I would feel about that.
So
I
it is
don't know.
important to note that the judge said he didn't think it was appropriate to conduct trial under the circumstances. He told Green he'd rather set a new day for the trial. He said, quote, "when you're not actively involved or participating in attending the needs of a patient." Because, I mean, if you think about it, technically your first priority, if you're a doctor in a surgery or something, should just be focused on the patient.
For
like,
sure.
you're
Yeah,
not-
does
you
that
don't-
go against any violation? Like
Yeah,
to lose his
right?
license? Is that
I think that's why they're kind of going under investigation to see, like, if they should do something about it. Because, I don't know, like I said, if you're in a doctor's office, you don't want them, like, texting and, like, going on social media while you're, like, talking to them. You want them to be like, hey, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling sick? Like, you don't really want that, so I don't know.
true?
If they were Zoom calling in your doctor's appointment, would you approve? No, probably not.
Yeah, I'm sure that
If it was like a normal dentist appointment, or like if it was like a normal checkup, it's like doing a physical, and he's like on a phone call. I'm not gonna be like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah, but it's a difference if it's a work phone call or if it's like I'm
Oh, no,
gonna
but
just talking to my best friend. Hey, how's it going? You want to hang out later? Like,
Oh,
I
if that's happening during a dentist appointment, the person's on speaker. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, how dare you not look at my teeth? Be like, be
All
like, yo,
right.
you talk to him. You talk to him. I'll be polite. I'll be like, yo, you talk to him. It seems like you talk to your homie.
All right, Ben. And with that, it is the top of the hour here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey. This was definitely an interesting show for sure, especially this last story where Ben insists it's okay that his doctor is on a Zoom call.
Yo, listen, if he's not actively cutting me open, I,
Yeah, I'm not seeing what we've been seeing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there are many gray areas with that opinion.
I
What?
agree. I agree. But thank you to anyone out there listening to us here on 90.3 and any people that are watching on Facebook, or maybe if you're watching on YouTube in the near future. Thank you. And I feel like I'm going to get judged, but I have been Amanda Marino, Ben. I was also joined today by my lovely co-host
who are you now?
and our lovely news contributor
Issa Winek.
and our sportscaster
Tim Medina.
and Ben, who just happened to join.
Yo, I have been Ben, and I'm still Ben. Amanda, I don't know what you are now, but she's been Amanda.
And with that, have a great day.